Let's jump in it with both feet, starting with the end of the Cowboys 49ers game. Did you have a problem with the mechanics, the way it all went down at the end of the game on Sunday?
A little bit. It's interesting. I flew from Tampa to Dallas and landed in Dallas with Troy and our producer, Rich Eisen Show. We got the game on our phone. It was the last minute. So that's really all we saw of the game was the last minute.
Okay.
And we were looking at this thing, the 49ers, 4th and 1, the measurement, they're short. Now they're going to go for it. Then they didn't get set. And then it goes to the last play, and we're watching this on a phone in the airplane. And we're going, what, is it over? We're like everybody else, watching it. And, obviously that's been the discussion point today. And I think the thing is, to me, look, people are saying that the umpire and the referee were so far back. Reuben George is the umpire, and, they line up 15 yards behind the line of scrimmage. And when Dak steps back, they step back. And so they had a long way to go. And so I think they worked their butts off to get to the spot. Really, though, to me, and we have discussed this before, the one thing when you're in such a hurry up like that, don't worry about a yard, putting the ball back. I mean, he could see that the line of scrimmage guys on the outside had a spot on the solid line, but just touch the ball and get out of there. And if you want to adjust it, if there's still time left on the clock, then you can put it back a yard. But when they look at this, that's what they're going to say. Hey, if this scenario hits again, you've got to touch the ball, okay? And it's hard. You got to go through players that are already in three-point stances and ready to go, but you've got to touch the ball. Touch it and get out. Don't worry about moving it back a yard because, that's hardly relevant at that point of time anyways. But, it's very interesting to watch the last minute of the game and then listen to the post-game comments by the announcer, Babe Woffenberg, who didn't talk at all about the umpire getting the ball. He talked more about the 14 penalties that the Cowboys committed, and he said they earned every one of them, except one maybe a little iffy, and he talked about them being undisciplined. And I have a hard time putting that last play where maybe they would have gotten a playoff. I have a hard time putting the total focus of the Cowboys lost on that. But that being said, I think mechanically it could have been handled a little bit better.
So the 2 cents would be, one, in the same way that Dak would have homework and the Cowboys would have homework to drill into Dak if he needs it, to find the official, to give the football to the official to spot. Don't give it to your center to spot. In the same way you would tell the umpire, just touch it, get out of the way. They're going to spike it anyway. Then you respot the ball before the end of the game. That would be the homework for the ump.
And I must tell you, and I thought about this last night, in some ways I accept part of the blame on this.
Okay.
Because if you go back to 2009, after the 2009 season, before I left in 2010, I'm the one that pushed for the change, the mechanics change, to move the umpire into the offensive backfield. And I knew that it created a hole. I recognized that, but I was more interested in umpire safety because I was losing 2 a year. They were getting killed. They were getting used as picks. So I said, let's move him to the offensive side. I think if he'd have been in his old spot, he would have gotten there quicker. And that was a concern. And we at that point said, hey, if it's a ball downfield and the back judge can get to the ball, do it, but it's still the umpire's primary responsibility. And it is one of those situational things that come up that probably that mechanics changed kept the umpire from getting – obviously, if he was lined up behind the linebackers, he would have probably gone right with the team down there and would have been there quicker. But so I guess I accept some of the blame for that.
The head ref said afterwards that they did not converse with New York City as to whether there was no time left on the clock in regulation, made that ruling themselves and got off the field. Would you you're laughing already. So
standard lingo
for what?
And they may have done that. Look, the first thing I looked at is when I was huddled around Troy's phone was how much time could have been left on the clock when he spiked it, because if there's if they deem that the game is over and you look at it and the ball hits the ground with 1 second to go, not reviewable. There has to be 2 seconds or more on the clock for replay to put those 2 seconds or more back on the clock. And I don't think there was even 1 second. But I promise you that because that actually is reviewable, they may not have conversed with New York, but they would have conversed to the replay official before they left the field to make sure that the time had expired. No conversation about the mechanics of putting the ball down or that, but replay is responsible for making sure there is not 2 or more seconds left on the clock, and if there's not, then the game is over. So I'm sure that was the conversation.
And you have no problem with the game being ruled over then?
No.
Okay. Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.